Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jose from Florida Vision Technology. And on today's demonstration, we are joined with our friend Tyler from OrCam, and we're going to talk about the new OrCam Read 5. Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing good. I appreciate being on. I know a lot of people haven't seen the Read 5 just yet. So this would be a good way to really show them what we're all about and kind of the direction OrCam's going. So
Yeah,
thank you.
awesome. I appreciate you joining us, and I'm super excited about this product. I've been using OrCam. I've been selling OrCam for about 7 years personally. I've been using the product for about the same amount of time, and I've always said OrCam needs a way for me to be able to ask it questions and quickly find those answers. And on today's demonstration, we're going to show you just that. I mean, this is exciting technology. As a blind person, this gives me so much hope for the future. So, Tyler, can you tell us about the OrCam Read, what it does, who's it good for, and show us a little demonstration of how the product works?
Yeah, for sure. So the OrCam Read 5, it looks just like the original OrCam Read and the Read 3 for those that are familiar. It feels like a box cutter. It's about the size of or a Sharpie. Some people have took mine too. It's got four tactile buttons on them. One of the big changes that we've made is instead of it being black on black, they're black on yellow now. So in addition to the tactile feeling, we now added a color contrast component to the device as well, just for an additional way for people to determine where the buttons are. Your one's going to be a circle, one's a plus and minus, and then the power button all the way in the back. So the OrCam Read was designed specifically more so for the reading component, just like the name says. So things like books, menus, mail, even aisle signs if you're going down like a grocery store. Read all those things. But a lot of the times, let's say if I'm looking at a bill as someone with full vision, there's certain components that my eyes are immediately going to try to track to. It's how much is due, how do I pay it, when is it due? And as someone who uses devices in OCR, Jose, you don't, as of right now, there's not a way for you to get that information right away. It's more you're just listening, trying to for the right part, correct?
That's absolutely correct. I have to sit there and pretty much listen from top to bottom when I'm just looking for the telephone number, like you said, when the balance is due, how much the balance is, maybe even my account number. Like I'm not trying to read the entire document from top to bottom because I know what
Yeah.
it is.
And going quite honestly, OCR devices, they don't read utility bills very well. You got the graphs, the charts, different fonts, colors, things like that. I can throw a lot of devices off, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense. So, with the Read 5, though, I'll be able to ask my device for that specific information. So, I have a utility bill that I'm going to present to the screen, try to fight through the glare the best I can. But there's a bunch of stuff on there. I mean, it breaks down the account number, how much is due, phone numbers for the fire department billings, stuff that I don't always care about, right? So I'm going to take my device. I'm going to locate the circle button. I'm going to feel for the center of the page, pull back, and if I press this circle button, there we go. If I press this circle button, a red box appears. Anything in this box is what the device is going to read. So if I want to get the entire bill, if I go further away, that box gets bigger. The closer I am, the smaller that box gets. So I'm going to capture the whole page, and then I'm just going to let go of the circle.
Page one of three.
And it's going to read it like a traditional OCR first.
Lakewood FL 3800 due date.
When is this bill due? So by pressing and holding the circle button, I can ask it a question.
The bill is due on September 23rd, 2020, with an amount due of $191.04.
How much is due?
The bill amount due is $191.04.
How do I pay this bill?
You can pay the bill by contacting customer service at 863-834-9535, MF 7:30 a.m. 7:06 p.m., or by accessing your account online at lakelandelectric.com.
This is my utility bill.
Yes, this is your utility bill.
Okay. And I just tap the circle button one more time, and it'll cancel out that photo. So in a matter of a minute, I figured out how much is due, when to due, whose it's from, and how I pay. So instead of listening to everything that probably would have took 3 to 5 minutes to get the info for, I just figured it out my own in maybe a minute. But that's a good way that the Read 5 really demonstrates itself with the utility bills and can save people a lot of time.
Yeah, I love that. Now, one question I get a lot from my customers is, especially living here in Miami, does this read in Spanish?
Yep. So all of our devices, they typically come with English and Spanish here in the US. Other languages can be put on the device once if we know in advance. So like if someone comes up to you guys and like we want Italian, cool, we'll get a device with English and Italian on it instead of English and Spanish. But for your example in Miami, so let's say you have a Spanish speaker and they go into an English restaurant or vice versa. English, yeah. So I have a menu here for Texas Roadhouse. Just print out a page. So let's say if I take a picture of this document, again, line it up with my red box, let go, takes a picture. It'll start in English.
Each plate served with your choice of two sides.
Can you translate this in Spanish? I'm just going to ask it a question.
Dados a mano. Cada plato se sirve con dos acompañamientos a tu elección.
And I'm reading in Spanish.
Extraño.
So I'm going to tap it once to stop it.
Rojo.
Okay. So it took that menu that was in English, started reading it to me in Spanish. And I would be able to ask it questions in Spanish like, what are my steak options? I could say that in Spanish to the device. It would read it to me and tell me the answer in Spanish.
That's so wild. That is so wild, man. I know for myself, my name's Jose, I don't speak Spanish. And living in South Florida, I do love our Latin cuisine. So a lot of times when I go to a restaurant, if I don't have someone who could interpret, what the menu is, because it'll be in Spanish, or if I have to ask the waitress. I mean, with a device like this, I love the fact I can go into a Cuban restaurant or a Puerto Rican restaurant or Venezuelan, Mexican. I can go in there, read it with my OrCam, and even though it's in Spanish, I'm asking the things in English and getting English responses. Like to
Yeah.
me, that is a game changer.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like some of my favorite places to eat are like the authentically owned Mexican taco trucks,
Oh yeah.
food trucks down in Tampa.
Yep.
And there's times I go up to the menus and I mean they are all in Spanish. So it sometimes I just guess because I took a little bit of Spanish back in high school, or sometimes I'll just ask someone for help. But being able just to figure that out on myself, I mean, I'll take the device with me and use it for my own personal uses that way, right? It can be really beneficial.
Yeah. And that, oh, like, I'm someone who likes to travel a lot. So now that would build up my confidence if I go to like a country in South America. Like I'm thinking about going to Colombia, and now I can go there and I can read, the menus in a restaurant and not have any hesitation. Like I love that, man. Like that is
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, if that doesn't say OrCam has leveled up, I don't know what it does. Like
Yep.
that's pretty awesome.
So, and it's really nice because when you go into like restaurants and things like that, you can still connect to our devices via Bluetooth. So if you have a pair of headphones, you can sync up directly into those headphones. That way the device speaks directly into your ear. I know some people can be a little self-conscious about using technology out in public. So it can help with those. It can just enhance the clarity of the voice in those environments. But and for those people who are still use the wired headphones, we can always attach directly into those. That jack is still available. A big thing to note is that with this feature in play, it does require the use of the internet. So we can usually use the Wi-Fi available at the home, or people who have our mobile app downloaded, just it's called the OrCam app. It'll pair to their phone. It'll use their cellular data as that internet. So even if I'm in a restaurant or Walmart or things like that, I can still function the device perfectly fine as long as I have cellular data. If I don't have any internet, I can still operate the device as an OCR reader, but I just won't be able to ask it questions. So if I'm in a plane though, I can still read a book with the device. If I'm on a subway, I can still read maps, things like that.
Now, for people who might have difficulties aiming the product, I
Mhm.
mean, and they want to read their bill on the table, what's the solution for that?
Yeah. So the Read 5 comes with a stand. So that's gonna be one of the beneficial benefits of it. So the stand itself weighs for about 2 to 3 pounds. So if I need to take this anywhere, I just shove it in my backpack. It can get pretty compact, and then it just goes in my backpack. I can pull it out anywhere I want. But if I slide the device into the stand, anything I put underneath of it, I know it's going to capture. In addition, if people can't have a hard time locating where that red square is, the best way I can put it is if they feel for the center of the document, put their device directly on there, and just lift it up about 12 inches away or a comfortable arm's length distance, it's always going to catch that page as well. So even though I mentioned that red square earlier, that box is more so of a guide than a necessity. Eventually, people with enough practice, the muscle memory just kicks in, and it'll become much easier for them to use.
Now, prior to the OrCam Read 5, I mean, we had the OrCam Read 3, which was a game changer when that first came out. You know, it gave
Mhm.
people the ability to scan documents and have it spoken out loud. And then it also allowed people who are low vision and even blind people. I utilize some of the features using the smart magnifier. Does the OrCam Read have that? Or
Yep. So the Read 5 will also have the smart magnifier component to it. So for those who aren't familiar with it, it's going to be you could see that demonstrated in the MyEye 3 Pro video. But it allows people to magnify the document that the device is looking at directly onto the screen. You could ask it questions about it. It's fully JAWS compatible. So even though if someone is fully blind, if they are familiar with JAWS, they can still use that functionality as well.
yeah, I know I do. So I could definitely contest to that.
And the smart magnifier, just in case someone hasn't seen the video yet, it can read handwriting. So I'm not talking about super pretty, nice handwriting. It can be extremely sloppy and it does a fantastic job. It can be cursive. It'll get it. So I know other OCR devices, there's not a lot on the market, I'll put it this way, that can read handwriting, if anything else at all. That's something that we do fairly well with using the smart magnifier component currently.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. So this device, I mean, it's good for students, it's good for professionals, it's good for
Hmm.
elderly, and everyone in between, young, old, middle age. This device helps people who are low vision, blind, print disabled. I mean,
Yep.
I'm in love with it, man. Like when
Yeah.
we had
So
a conversation about it a few weeks ago, I was like, "What?"
yeah.
No
So just to
device
put
thought it was
just to
great.
put in to give you some examples, I spoke to someone who was 89 who they recently got a Read 5 from us. And she's not extremely tech savvy, but the simplicity of how the device works, just being able to press and hold that button and ask a question, saved her tons of time, right? I mean, she likes to order stuff from she likes to order delivery for food because she is blind. She can't go out and get it herself, but sometimes she really just wants a Domino's pizza. So she always has the takeout menus. She asked direct few questions about that, how much the price is. I showed it to a teacher who is going to really utilize a smart magnifier to read homework answers for his students. And then I've done it with a student as well, who, if they're looking at a homework assignment, they can ask, "Can you read question number 2?" It'll read just that question. Or if they're reading a textbook and it comes across an event that they didn't recognize, they could ask, "What is this event? When did this take place?" Things like that. If I'm looking at a recipe, an amount of eggs, I could ask the device, "What's a good substitution for eggs?" It's going to tell me. So being able to reference the internet can save the user a lot of time going forward.
It's like having a personal assistant in your pocket.
Yep, because I mean, that student, if he didn't recognize that event and it didn't talk much about it, he'd have to go back to that textbook, try to figure out which page that event is talked about, all that stuff. But instead, it took him 2 seconds. What is the Boston Tea Party? Blank. The Boston Tea Party is this. It happened this.
Love it.
Cool. I can move on now.
Love it. Love it, man. Love it. And I'll tell you, with my job and working with OrCam, I mean, the youngest person I've had that have used it, probably high school, middle school.
Mhm.
The oldest person I've ever taught how to use an OrCam was 103, right?
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes of how easy the device can be. Because the person, they
Yeah.
weren't very tech savvy at all. But once you take it out of the box, it's 4 buttons. They're
Yep.
tactile. You can feel them. If you have low vision, you can see the yellow buttons on the device compared, on the black contrast to it. It is so simple to use. I'm not saying 103-year-old people can't use tech things or very techy things, but the fact that a child in school and a World War II veteran can pick this device up and use it, to me, that's a home run, man.
Yep. So I think just the simplicity of the device combined with how smart it can be, I think is going to be great for the market. So I'm glad we got on and we're talking about it more.
Sweet, man. Well, I think we're going to wrap up this demonstration. Tyler, I appreciate you joining us for this. If any of you are interested in the OrCam Read 5, feel free to reach out. My email is jose@floridareading.com. That's jose@floridareading.com. And our toll-free number is 1-800-981-5119. Again, that's 1-800-981-5119. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. We always appreciate that. And if you're interested in seeing the OrCam MyEye 3 Pro video, I will put a link in the description. So we'll catch you all on the next demonstration.